Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing this evening? Oh, shoot. Hold on 1 minute. Damn. Oh, shoot. Hold on 1 minute. I think I screwed this up. Either. Hold on. I'm trying to. Tony. Damn.
We need, brother. You good?
I'm just trying to go on the screen with you.
You probably have on the right side. You probably have the background selected. Take the background off.
All right. Hold on 1 second. God.
Yep.
Oh my God. Bear with me, folks. Aren't visible. Thought I took it off, but oh man. Shoot. I'm trying to. I know it's off of it. I'm just trying to start this.
No, you're live. You're started.
I know. I'm just trying to see if I could get this off the screen.
That's why I said it's got to be either the overlay or background. It's got to be clicked. You got to unclick it.
I thought I did. Bear with me.
That's all right.
This is.
There you go.
All right, here we are. Welcome, everybody, to my second episode of Fuji's Philly Flair. Of course, always a glitch. I'm a little used to that. Not used to this. So tonight, we have a fellow podcaster, writer, mentor, coach, Mr. Tony Cutillo. Tony, welcome to Fuji's Philly Flair. I appreciate you coming on. How you doing?
Doing great, brother. How you doing? I'm
a little better now that I got this glitch out of the way. I mean, it's
all good, man. It happens, brother. It happens.
Technology, walk me through this. So let's dive right into this. I mean, I appreciate you coming on. Like I was telling you, we've known each other a good 5 years. You're on, an episode with couple episodes of Broad Street South with Angel Martinez and I. We had you on Patterson Avenue Fanatics a couple months ago. Let's dive in. I mean, you've been doing this. How long have you? Matter of fact, I grew up in Mayfair. You're right, Wisconsin guy.
Wisconsin, brother. We Northeast boys.
Exactly. I mean, you went to North, I went to Judge. A little bit of a rivalry there, but
yeah.
So, what's going on? And, I mean, just putting it out, the message, some people just want to, anybody, young kids, people our age, younger, trying to get in the podcasting business. This is the man to talk to and get information out of.
All I can say, Fuji, is like I tell everybody, man, just, be ready to grind, man, right? Like be ready to grind. And I think that the biggest thing I'll start off with saying is, and I'm teaching this to my kids right now, is consistency.
Right.
I've always lived by the motto of credible, consistent content. So I have 3 C's. That's for me. I want to stay credible, I want to stay consistent, and I want to produce content. And if you fall short on any one of those 3 C's, you're not going to make it. And that's not a negative thing. That's just saying that the market is so flooded, right, with everybody. And it's not a bad thing. I love that everybody can have a voice. I do. I do think some people shouldn't, but that's just my own personal opinion. And that's what's great about us. We can all have opinions, right? But
exactly.
You gotta stay consistent. And I preach this to a lot of people. Actually, I'm going to be speaking to Archbishop Wood in a couple months, and
nice.
Just to a lot of kids out there that are getting into this, and the president's a good close personal friend of mine. So the first thing he said was just like, want you to talk to these kids and just let them know that don't sugarcoat it, right? Be ready to fail. Be ready to hear the word no. Be ready to get let down. Be ready to get stabbed in the back. It's a toxic, listen, it is a huge toxic environment, right? So I'll give you a quick little nugget before we go on. Like, speaking of that, everybody is in competition. And you shouldn't have to be, right? In the days of social and digital media, everybody can have a platform. Everybody can have a space. But what I will say is be different. Like another word of just don't come with the same thing. Everybody talks about the Eagles, right? Everybody, it's the low hanging fruit. Everybody has an Eagles podcast. Everybody has an Eagles show. That's fine. However, take a percentage of that show, Foods, and make it original. Right.
That's why
original.
That's why I'm doing this, because I mean I've tried it out a couple times before and didn't follow through, but joining, we partnered up Cole County Entertainment, Tom Kelly partnered up with Paul Spencer of Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. We brought both divisions, we're both together now, sharing everything out, different shows, what's the word?
Collaboration.
Yeah, that's it. I want to say hi to my colleague and a friend from Patterson Avenue Fanatics, my colleague Alan Andrzejkowicz, for checking in. Also, Alan did a promo for this show today. I deeply appreciate you doing that. And like you were saying, it's since I started doing podcasting in 2020 during the pandemic, and like you were saying, it is backstabbing to a point. It is a lot of, it's a cutthroat business. I mean, you got your your pros and cons, and it's like I said, this is why I wanted to dive in, because it's Eagles in this town 24/7, 365. Like, we're all beating a dead horse chasing the same thing. So that's why I just wanted to get away from, it's great doing it, but it's just the same thing over and over. How much can you talk about the Eagles every damn day?
And that's the that's the funny thing, right? Because I think the hardest job that you can have in this business is to be a local radio host.
Right.
You have to go into work and talk about the same thing every day. I'm going to be honest with you. That's one reason why I really got into fantasy. I mean, I started as a fantasy football guy, as a fantasy football writer. I actually started as a wrestling writer. I'm a huge wrestling fan.
E-Wrestling News.
Yeah, EWN, man. Shout out to EWN. Gave me my first start. The man who ran a guy named Frank's son gave me my first opportunity. And I always knew, like, I got into the Philly scene, but it was like, I'm bored. I'm tired. And that's why I always chased the national stage.
Right.
And people would tell me, that's too hard, man. I'm like, yeah, but I want to be different. I want to talk something different. I have enough knowledge and and enough acumen that I can speak on different levels. So I was like, I know I could do this. So that's why I chase the national thing, and that's why I do the fantasy thing. That's why I do the sports betting thing. And I love it. Every day there's a different topic. Every day there's a day. I don't have to worry about it. And then on the other end, that's why I started the Fighting for Overtime podcast. And that's a youth sports central podcast where I talk to current athletes. I talk to, and I don't mean superstars. I don't want superstars. Okay. What I want is people that me and Fuji can relate to, because I can't relate to Jason Kelsey. He didn't grow up like Tony Cutillo. Okay. So all that stuff, and I don't want to hear all that. You're on a different pedestal, right? So I want the people that are grinding. I want the people that are the local high school coaches. Shout out to my man Bill Seitzman, coach of Father Judge. Guys that have come up through Frankfurt Pioneers and gone through. What are you going through? See, that kind of stuff people don't know, right? Because they're not publicized, because they're not the big fish. And so I start saying, you know what? Let's start advocating for the little guy. Let's start advocating for the little guy who's making huge strides in the community. So that's where the Fighting for Overtime podcast came from.
Right. And like you say, you dove into, the fantasy aspect of it, the gambling part. Now it's like another thing that's, watered down to a point, because you got all these sites, DraftKings and FanDuel started off, and now everybody's in on the act. But, I remember one time betting was illegal outside of Atlantic City in Vegas. Besides,
no, listen.
Besides when the bookies were really wrong. It's the truth, though.
That's when you had to be fearful.
Well, the bookies, the loan sharks ain't getting into that side.
They come break your legs, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. If you didn't pay anybody.
Exactly.
Tom Kelly checking in. What's up, fellas? My man Tony C in the building.
TK.
Love that Philly flair. Thanks, TK. Thanks for the walkthrough with us earlier as well. We had a glitch, but we're good now. Well, yeah, you're back to what we were saying. It's everybody's in on the act. Casinos. It was against the government. I mean, it was illegal, but now, you can bet on whatever. You can bet on Kyle Schwarber hit home run number 51. Shout out to Kyle for hitting 50 last night. But, you can bet on anything.
Yep.
The smallest thing,
yep.
Like the Super Bowl, the coin toss, whatever. It's nuts.
So just for, and Fuji, me, so I'm a very upfront and transparent.
Oh, yeah.
Guy. So I think we got to teach the people a little something here. So, I'm my nickname is Jigsaw, right. And even though I'm not on speaking terms right now with the person who gave it to me, in my opinion, but I will say the reason why I got it is because I'm upfront and personal about a lot of things. You speak about sports gambling. Let me give everybody education out here. So you don't get paid. Sports people, they don't get paid. So everybody, I want everybody to understand that. You see these people that are popping out these promo codes and this and that. They're not getting paid unless somebody clicks that code. Nobody's getting money, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like so you better be willing to work for FREE, free. Okay, absolute free. So I say this because I want you to think about something. When you see the ESPN commercials with the ESPN host come by, say, use my code, Stephen A, or whatever, they don't need your money. They don't need your money. Go support the other people within the community that are actually grinding and that are your peer or your colleague, because yes, they do get paid. Is it a lot? Hell no. However, why should you give it to the celebrities? Give it to the local people. Give it to the small guy. Give it to the little guy. I never understood that. And I don't think people realize that, right? So when you get into these sports books and, you get your own affiliate link, okay? That's all it is. It's a link with a code. Every time somebody gets into that link and signs up with your code, you get a percentage, not of what they put in, but a percentage of whatever it is. And I don't have a problem telling everybody. It could be $50. It could be $75. It could be $20. It all depends on the state, okay? Because every state is different. So I tell you this because, again, if you're inspiring to be a podcaster, you want to go and be like, I'm going to get a partnership with Bet Parks, or I'm going to get a partnership with Bet Rivers. For what? They're going to give you a code, and you're going to have to sell it along with everybody else. However, right? So if Fuji is sitting there watching TV, all I'm saying is, if you're a normal person, and I'm not saying because it's me, I'm not saying because anybody, there's a lot of people out there grinding. Okay, shout out to my man Javon Alfred. Javon is another great dude. And if he's throwing out a code, I'm giving it to Javon because Javon's killing it. He's grinding just like me. I'm not giving it to Stephen A. For what? What am I giving it to him for? What am I giving it to WIP for? They're already getting all that loot. So you gotta. It's something I want people to think about a little bit. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember the 1-8, on the weekend you would get the 1-800 numbers. Call
Yeah.
and get the bet of the week. Half of it would be, let's just say, call for the Eagles on one side, and then you get the number. Oh yeah, bet on the Chiefs. Like, all that.
That still happens. You
Yeah,
still
right.
listen, OGs, man. There's some
Right.
there's some OGs that I respect the hell out of that still
Right.
do that. Still do that. And they're damn good at it, man. They're
Oh yeah.
damn
I
good at
mean, they rope everybody in, for the Sunday games, and then everybody's down a couple thousand, and you got to go out and get the Monday night game just to break even, or
it. Yep.
or what. We know it's a sad, but I mean, it's so. Just to go back,
Yeah.
when you graduated, what made you want to get into this business?
That's fun. That's a good question. When I graduated. So let's just the only way I could say this is I got to tell you the full story. Okay. And I will tell you, I firmly believe that everybody has a person. You've either met that person or you haven't met them yet. And that person is going to be the person that's going to be like your guardian angel to send you in the right direction, to take care of you, to give you guidance and mentorship, right? So I have met my person when I was probably 20, 28 years old. Okay. So I had kids extremely young, unplanned. Okay. I was a freshman in college and I was 20 years old, and boom, I'm having a baby. So God bless my wife. We're still together. I don't know how she puts up with me, but 25 plus years and we're still together. So that's a credit to her, not me, because she deals with my crazy ass, right? But I say that because at that time, Foods, I wanted to be a sports journalist. Like that's what I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to start raising a family. So I dropped out. Now, I say this because right now, if you want to get in this business, if you're trying to get in at 40 and 45, it's a tough ladder to climb. How and the reason right? And the reason why I tell people this is because there's a reason why a lot of these guys, like the guys that you hear on the radio that live in one bedroom apartments, they're eating ramen noodles, they're running all over the place because they're putting their mark in the game, right? Foods, me and you can't do that right now.
No,
okay,
not at all.
Right. So I tell this story because I had a guardian angel, man. Like, so, I dropped out of college, start raising a family. My dad worked at a chemical plant for years in Bridesburg. And I never wanted to work there. I was delivering chips for hers as a delivery guy. And he was like, look, it's up to you. They're having a test. So I go take the test. I get the job. I worked there for 22 years. Shift work, 16, 20-hour days, flipping night. So I'm telling this story for anybody listening because I made the best of it. And, I climbed my way through that within that industry, whether, a union ladder, a management ladder. I became a boiler engineer, went back to school, got a certificate. So when I was a boiler engineer, I did nothing. It literally was the Homer Simpson job. So I sat and watched screens and fire. That's all I did. And if somebody needed something, I called my fireman on the radio and said, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I didn't do anything, right? Except watch and learn. So Foods, the reason why I say this is because some people decided, I'm just going to scroll my phone all night, or I'm going to, I decided, you know what? I still want to be that journalist. How can I do it? I still want. So I start learning. I start YouTube and I start reading Google. I start reading, how to work software, how to make content, how to do this, how to do that. So I had a notebook, spiral notebook. And then one night, somebody wrote a post when Twitter just started out, and it was a guy named Shannon K. Rose. And rest in peace, Shannon. He was my guy. So he was a head of a public relations agency out in Tampa, Florida. And he was hiring an intro writer. They called it an elevator pitch writer. And I didn't know what that was. So I sent him a message. What the hell? I was writing for EWN. I don't know what it is. So long story short, I sent him a couple samples and he said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on you, kid. I'm going to bring you in. Okay. So this was remote. So remote job. So now now all of a sudden I get in the public relations industry. Right? I don't know anything about that. So, and I'm sorry this is a little long, but I want to let you know how I got to here. So Shannon said to me, now this is a guy who had muscular dystrophy. He couldn't use his hands. He had all the connections in the world, Foods, all the connections in the world, did everything voice activated. So he needed a guy like me in order to help him run his business.
Okay.
However, he didn't have a lot of money. So he said to me, Tony, all I can do for you right now is I can give you a PR contract. And I said, what is that? He said, you love sports, right? And I said, yes. He said, I'm going to help you get into the sports industry. I said, how's that? He's like, we'll start booking you on radio shows in different cities, get your name out there. I was like, okay. So he gave me a contract. My first show was the Jeff Pincus show. Then I was on the Guy Wayman show out in Tampa, Florida. And all I did, Foods, was hop on talking Philly sports. And next thing you know, it started to evolve. Now, granted, as it evolved, I was still working for this guy. Now he start making money. I start making money. Okay. So now it was like, oh, this is great. So long story short, he passed away in 2019, in July of 2019, at like 46 years old, and showed me everything. Right. So basically left me the keys to the castle, meaning not his company, but the contacts. So I started my own PR company, which is Rise and React Media, which you see still today, still running strong. And I still have clients that are 10 years that I had from back then. And that's the way I got into this industry, because I was able to get the connections. I was able to get to the right people. And Shannon's my lifesaver, bro. He's our guardian angel. Right. He was the guy. Like I said, there's a guy for everybody. There's a person for everybody.
Like the Ken Fry checking in. What's up, guys? Fuji, I loved your video on Sepsis Awareness Month. Thank you. Thanks for checking in, Ken.
What's up, Ken?
And also, I remember you told me, you basically quit your full-time job, and the rest was history.
So I had a 2-year a 2-year plan, I'll call it, meaning two years of life, meaning once I understood that my life was changing at 20, I said my goal was 40, to retire at 40 from what I was doing, and then give myself another 20 years to work and enjoy what I do for work.
Right.
I was about 5 years late. But at 45, I threw my full-time job away. I threw my full-time job away. I went all in on a bunch of different things, and it's been great ever since. I still run a PR company. I do consulting work for Colonial Nissan. I do picks and sports betting for BetQL and OddsShopper. I am the director of communications for the Together We Dance Foundation, which is a great foundation run by Mike Barnes. Shout out Mike Barnes. Right now, I work for St. Rocco's Treats, which is a doll company.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because I see you post out on is it Saturday mornings you go out to that?
So I work for them during the week, like in office and and on a hybrid role, and then I go out to do promo events on the weekends at times.
Okay.
That's where that comes from.
I've seen you post about St. Rocco's.
So I do it all, you know what I mean? Right. Little pieces.
Hey,
but I love it. That's the thing. When you love what you do, it's not work.
Well,
I'm being honest.
That's what they always said. Make sure you find a job that's going to be, you're going to enjoy the rest of your life. Now,
you're not going to find it right away, kids. Right. You're not going to find it right away.
Ken Fry does Tony, you're living the American dream. Awesome.
If that's what they call it, yes. Listen, I ain't gonna lie, bro. It's up and down, cause it ain't easy. None of this shit's easy.
Seem like you just, come along, not a long way, but you build, like you said, you gave yourself a 20-year plan. You're 5 years from retirement, but you're as long as you enjoy it.
Listen,
now,
yeah. Oh, I love it.
now your new show, Fighting for Overtime. Can you get into like how you said? I know I was watching your show last night, sharing it out as I always do.
I much
You know,
appreciate it as always.
yeah, anytime. You've helped me.
Man, listen, it's all about collaboration, bro. I tell you
All
that.
right.
I tell people that all the time. It's there's a lot of good people, and I want to be one of those good people, and there's a lot of bad people too. And I've met them. Trust me, I've met them as well, and they're not, not getting into no finger point, but that show specifically, Foods, was it started off as a passion project that was going to be a self-reflection of me. And what I mean by that is I coached for 20 plus years. I've coached girls, I've coached boys, I've coached soccer, I've coached softball. And I have a lot of unfortunate negative stories that happened to me and my kids personally.
Right.
And I've over the years, I found out that people are afraid to talk about that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not afraid. So what I did was I waited until my kids were out of the game, meaning out of high school, and graduated on and said, okay, now's for me, now's the time for Tony to open up. Now, and so basically the tagline for this show, it's called Fighting for Overtime. It's available on all your platforms. It's all about bringing awareness to youth sports. And my tagline to tell everybody is we're not going to change it. Youth sports is a monster right now. It's affecting people's anxiety, their mental health, their physical health, and not just kids, coaches, parents, get a lot, right? So my thing is, we're not going to change it. And unfortunately, we can't adapt to it either. But what we can do is raise awareness so that Fuji, if you have if you had a grandchild or you were a late dad, right? And you were listening to my show and say, oh wow, like that stuff's happening. Like now your antennas go up. So when you start to go out there and you start to see things, maybe that awareness kicks in and you're like, okay, I need to be careful with this. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to raise awareness with this show. And I'm full transparency. It sent me in a spiral when I first started doing it. I'm a big therapy advocate. Okay. I'm going to be full. I've been seeing a therapist for 4 years, bro. I love her to death. I see her every month now. I graduated from weekly to bi-weekly to monthly. I used to be a very angry individual. I'm not going to lie. It's where Jigsaw came from, right?
I can
everything
relate.
bothered me. Everything. I went right for the jugular with people all the time. And I learned that it was affecting me. Like it was affecting my personal life and my space. And I was like, I got to do something about this. So when I started doing this show, it set me down that spiral, Foods. Right. So
I myself can relate because when I lost my mom, and suddenly the septic shock is, I was, putting out that PSA the other, it's Sepsis Awareness Month for September. And, unfortunately, my mother passed of it. Some people have survived it. I know people that have survived.
Me too.
And I don't think my message is, I don't think it's out there like all these other illnesses enough. Because you go in a hospital, God forbid, it's easy. You can get sepsis. Like
you never know. You never know.
And getting back to it, I've been seeing a therapist for a little over a year, and it's, when my mom passed away, I want to say I was angry. Like I had a lot of resentment.
Yep.
I was mad at God. It was just very never waking up thinking it was an outpatient procedure. Not to get into the whole thing, and my mom fell the septic shock. It was a kidney stone that was lasered. Septic shock set in. My mom was in ICU for 8 days on a ventilator and never came off it. And it was like, your life just changed in a 360.
Yep.
And I can relate, but getting back to
no, man, I think that's a huge deal, man. Like it's why I tell people, man, therapy is needed for you don't have to shy away from it, man. And it's great to have an unbiased person that you can bounce things off to that does not know you, does not know anybody close to you, and you can get a professional judgment and opinion to help you through, man. I'm telling you, I never discount it. And I was one of those guys that said, therapy. What do I need some therapist for? Nah, man. Nope. I'm a firm believer now, Foos. Firm believer. I really am. So yeah, the episodes I came out with, the first 3 or 4, you'll tell they're a little different. I had to take a break. I got really upset. I started getting real angry again and started reliving the past nightmares that I had in the coaching arena and for my kids and for the family. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I could do this. And then I worked through it, and I'm so glad because now it's just taken on, a mind of its own, and people have been able to relate. And I have a lot of great supporters out there. Got a lot of people coming on, and it's not just about like it's funny. I tell people it's not just it's not about finger pointing. It's not about like this story I'm covering right now is a story that came to me. And it's affecting 72 girls. Like 72 girls have nowhere to play, 0. And I'm trying to insert myself in a situation to be like, look, it can't be that deep, man. And you are adults. Like, can't we just figure this out? Like, I don't understand. But this is real stuff, Foods, that's going on right now. It's crazy.
Well, now you said you coached, I know your son and daughter 20 years. And
yep.
Like, I mean, myself, I played for the Mayfair Shamrocks. We played baseball, all the sports. I'm sure you played Little League. Like, why is it today, from what you've seen, and I'm going to go back, I don't know how long this has been going, but why is it like always been crazy with like some of these parents just sports like just turning into fights and like all this crazy stuff that we didn't see this?
No.
I mean, I'm sure it's part of mental awareness or whatever have you, anxiety. Like, why do these parents like just flip out over a sport, and it's like they want to fight each other? I mean, it's sad.
It's money, Mike. It's all, it's NIL, it's scholarships, it's AAU. The game has changed, man. The game that me and you used to play, I used to play for, Wissanoming or Moss AA. You play for Mayfair, people play for Holy Terrors and Lansing. And we showed up, right? We got a hat, we got a shirt. We played for 3 months. So once a week, we were good to go. Right. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. Now everything's all around. It's year round. Everything's ultimately competitive, and everybody's vying for that spot. Mm-hmm. And social media is a big thing too, right? You think about it. We didn't see anything. Right. We didn't see other kids in our age group doing dunks in the gym and saying, he's getting better or she's getting better. We had nothing to compare to. We were just out there playing, right? So now everything's a competition. Everything.
I think the closest thing we had when we were younger was like the Little League World Series.
I mean, yeah. I was watching sports, but I mean, I was watching WWE on Saturday mornings, man. Like,
exactly.
That's what I was doing.
Big time.
Yeah, man.
That.
Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. I mean, come on, man. That's what I was doing.
I mean, I go back to Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson.
Wow, man.
This
great stuff, dude. Great stuff.
Man, I mean, my daughter played 8-9 years of club volleyball, and it's just, I mean, the way sports is today, it's, it's 24/7, 365, like you said. I mean, you got Nike involved in everything, uniforms, what have you, equipment. Yep. I mean, I wish sports was like this coming up when we were that young.
I know. Tell me about it.
And, I mean, I know you were talking last night on your show, just dealing with about that one lady that wrote that email to you.
Yep.
Can you get into a little bit about?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, what I felt like a reporter, even though I'm not a reporter. So, but my PR hat kicks on every now and then. But what had happened was, this story was given to me, and once I put the story out there, I tell everybody, like, here's the email address. If you want to get involved in the show, if you want to tell me something anonymously, no judgment, here you go. And I started getting flooded with emails about people, not about just that specific story, but like things that were happening to them that, you know, they felt aligned. They understood. They felt my pain. You know, because they felt like I was feeling their pain. And giving me viewpoints to give me honestly topics for future shows. Which was amazing because a lot of these parents are going through this either for the first time or they're going through it for the second or third time. And it's getting worse every time they go through it. So yeah, it was just a really eye-opening episode that started in July and now has 3 versions. And now we're going to get on update 4 next week because I got another email from a specific person that, you know, might be able to tie it all together. So it's just, and it's bringing awareness, which has been fantastic.
So when you get emails from different parents, I mean, are you just touching on these different topics?
I've had, I mean, my wife thinks I'm crazy. I mean, but I love doing what I do. So I'll sit on the phone, like they'll call me. We'll have an hour-long conversation. You know, now I have people asking me for recommendations, like can I give them a, you know, what kind of batch they be looking at? You know, when I was coaching, you know, where did I look to for training sessions, because they know that I'm not giving them crap. Like I'm literally giving them credible, goes back to the 3 C's, right? Being credible. So when you gain credibility, it doesn't leave, man. Like continue to be credible. Like, and I say that to all you youngsters out there, be credible. Don't go for that backstabbing. Don't do that, man. Please don't do that. Don't do that because it will hurt you in the long run.
Well, let's fast forward now. Recently, I saw you posted you're doing some commercials now for Colonial Nissan.
What is the odds, man? Like my pasta.
That's great. Man.
So, you know, this is just another lesson for everybody to, I say connections are worth more than money. And stop worrying about the money all the time. Just keep good connections. And what I will tell you is I've bought my last 5 vehicles since going back to 2010 at Colonial Nissan. And I've been dealing with Jason, who was the owner at that dealership so one day I was there, Foods. I was getting a new car. He walked by and I noticed he had a guy with a camera following him. So after he was done, I said, "What are you doing? TikTok videos?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm trying to keep up with the kids, right?" So I was like, "Ah, no shit, man." I was like, "Let me know, man. I'd love to." He's like, "Oh, you know something about that?" So I was like, "Yeah, I got my own company. I do this, I do that." Next thing you know, we have a conversation. Rest is history, man. So now, you know, we go in there, whether it's me, whether it's him, whether it's salesman, we come up with content ideas, you know, different pricing structures, and we give an idea. Like I'm like a coach sometimes, like what to say, how to say it. You know, what do you do? Like I'm more of a consultant type role. But the funny thing is, he said to me, "Hey, what do you think about doing a couple content pieces?" Like, whatever, man. I don't care. Let me, you know. So that's where the pasta thing came from.
Oh, it's funny you say that because I know his sons have been doing it since they were little. I forget their last name, but I mean, those kids grow up on those commercials.
Oh yeah,
and
and
they've been. I know the oldest son's been doing it for probably well over 10 years.
Yep.
You know what's their slogan? If you can't make a deal with us,
if you can't make a deal with me, you can't make a deal with anybody.
Right.
Yep. And he ain't lying. He ain't lying.
Interesting. Also, want to ask you, when you first got in, like just into the business, I know you were doing some work with Sean Brace.
Mm-hmm.
Can you touch on, was he really your first big name that was in the business?
Yes. So without being trying to be civil, all I will say is that yes, Sean, I was a big Brace and Marks guy. When they were on a Fanatic, I listened to Brace and Marks.
97.5.
Yep. When they were on 97.5, I don't even think it was the Fanatic, right? Was it the Fanatic? Yeah. Okay. So I was a big Brace and Marks guy. So one day Brace had posted, he ran a site called PhillyInfluence.com after he got let go by the Fanatic, and he was looking for a couple writers. So, and it was a fantasy sport, and I've been in fantasy forever. So reached out to him. We had a conversation. He brought me on. So I started doing fantasy football work for PhillyInfluencers.com. So the goal was, and this is where I tell people the industry gets shitty, okay?
Right.
So the goal was, okay, we're going to get to a radio station. Like his goal was always to pitch to a radio station, to form a radio station, which he did. Congratulations. And all power to him. He did. Fox Sports The Gambler was born. You know, we all were promised things, never got them. You know, long story short, I was given an opportunity. I declined the opportunity because at that time I couldn't do it. Ever since I declined that, I fell out of favor. A lot of broken promises. It is what it is. But there's a lot of hypocritical things that go on with that scenario. However, what I will say is because, and this is why I can't lie, but because of that opportunity in the beginning of me being that fantasy guy, I built up a media reel. And that media reel got me to Sirius. And it got me in the door with a company called Win Daily Sports, who already had a show on Sirius. So just so everybody knows the full transparency, you're not going to walk into Sirius and get a job. The way you get on the radio with Sirius is you have to be aligned with a company that already has an ad spend and a budget deal with Sirius. Okay. That's why all those hosts work for someone. Fantasy Alarm, Fantasy Life, Roto World. That's why. So at that time, I was with Win Daily Sports. Now, just to sum this up, because I know we're looking at time, but what I will say is I did it for 3 years. But I didn't get it because I just worked with Win Daily. I had to be vetted. I had to make sure that I could handle myself as a host, right? I had to go through this. And what they do is they say, okay, you might have 5 people in your chain. They might say, well, only these 2 guys can be a host. That's it. And I was one of those guys. And what I did was I wrote it for 3 years, Fuji, and I loved it. I miss it. I'll be honest with you. I love it all. I want to be if I could be on Sirius every day, I would. That is it was my favorite. I'm being honest. So, however, what happened was the company I work for, I didn't get let go, but the company I work for disappeared. They folded. So because they folded, there was no show.
Right.
But here's the quick thing I will tell everybody. Again, this comes back to credibility and being consistent. The head manager over there that runs that channel, Jacob, which is an awesome guy, has me on the top of the list for when anybody either needs a fill-in host or a new company comes in. So I wouldn't be on that if I wasn't consistent and if I wasn't credible. So who knows? Could be next month, Fuji. You never know. Could be back on there. I don't know. But I will say is the reason why I got there is because I took those small opportunities, but I made sure that I created my own reel within those opportunities that I could take with me.
So I was going to say, I know you've always loved sports. You love the fantasy. I've been doing fantasy football myself since 1994. Was there like any influence that got you, like a media personality back in the day, or you just?
Oh, it's funny. I never listened to fantasy sports radio. Like but I read the articles. Right. I read everything. So, I used to go to this site called FF Today, and it's a great site. It's still viable right now. And the influence was just seeing how they produced articles. And that's how I was like, I want to get into this. I want to get into that. And then as I found Sirius, and I was like, wow, they got a whole station on fantasy sports. Like, I had no idea, right? I was like, this is great. So again, Jeff Ratcliffe, who's still on there now, right? Jeff Ratcliffe, Jeff Mans, who has a show every day. Howard Bender, Fantasy Alarm. These guys have been there, and I've always tried to understand, like, how do they stay the test of time, right? How do they say? And they were so. I wouldn't say like I had like a mentor. I kind of made my own way, but I would look at those specific areas. Always pick a few people and say, how can I be like them? But like, how can I build like them but still be me?
Was there any? I mean, I'm going back 20 plus years. Was there? I mean, WIP was the only game in town at the time. Was there any personality on the radio that you wanted to? That
I know
you idolized.
I know people are not going to be a fan of this, right? But I will always be a Mike Missinelli guy. Now look, I again, I'm not saying you condone the way whatever he spoke of that was off the sports topic, okay? But to be able to be in the business like Angelo Cataldi and them guys, like I didn't say, like, I wouldn't say that I agreed with everything that they did, but I respected that they continued to be in the business. Okay. But I always looked and I always was like, I want to be like Missinelli. I did. And I will be honest with you. That came full circle when, I was his fantasy guy on his podcast last year for a whole 3 weeks until they had to get rid of me because I had affiliations with other sports books. And they were with Bet Rivers, and it was a conflict. So but it was great. I was like, hey, I'm Mike Missinelli fans guy. It's pretty cool for me. It's a guy I idolized, like, growing up. I just did. But another guy, and he wasn't on the radio, he was a guest, is Jason Stark. Like, I met Jason Stark last year at Rowan. Shout out to Alex Yo. Shout out to Coach Joe Richmond for the Delaware Blue Coats that I hosted a podcast with them for 2 years called the Blue Coats Beat. Still not really going away, but just, crazy times. But, they allowed me into the Blue Coats family. And I met some amazing people. And one of them was Jason Starr. And Jason, just the way he was professional, the way he, like, I'll tell you a quick story, Foods. Like, this is how you can tell the guy is amazing. And I know, I'm sorry, I could be here for 2 hours and I don't have 2 hours. You don't have 2 hours. but what I will say is I met him and he greeted everybody one by one. And he literally, and you could tell he's old school. I walked up to him, I shook his hand, and I said, Jason, I just want to tell you, I've been a fan for you ever since you were on the Fact of the Day, Fun Fridays, and again, Missinelli, because Missinelli would bring him on. And he started at the Athletic. I said, you're the only reason why I have an Athletic subscription. I'm just telling you, because you're there. And he looked me dead in the eye, and he was dead serious. Grabbed my hand and said, Tony, thank you. I from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Like, he was genuine. Like, and that showed me, like, damn. Like, but again, he's not a guy popping all crazy content on social media. He's not a guy, and he doesn't even get looked at because he doesn't do that. But he was so credible and consistent with what he did. I was like, that's, for me, that's one of those guys.
If you go back to Jason Stark, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he started writing for the Inquirer back in the day, and he was one of the original guys on the Great Sports Debate when Prism was on.
Yes.
Or he would be on there once in a while, asking Angelo, Glenn Macnell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Al Morgani as well.
Yep.
So I know you're going way back, and I want to ask you this question. I believe I heard John Kincaid say this about, like, podcasting's the future. It's pretty much whether, the radio will be, I don't want to say extinct or going away, but look how much podcasting is blown up probably before the pandemic.
Yep.
And I believe it's here to stay. And you see, little guys like us compared to, the Kelsey brothers, whatever. It's like everybody's got their
Everybody's
hand
got podcasts.
and it's just where does it go from here? I mean, it's like you said, it is. I mean, you got different topics, but you got to look on different, whether it's Apple or forget a couple of the other names.
Is it Spotify?
iHeart, yeah.
iHeart.
Where does the future? Where does I can't get it out.
Well, no, I know. So
Where's podcasting go in the future?
I don't think radio ever goes away.
No.
Terrestrial radio is always going to be around, in my opinion, and it's because no matter what, it's easier to hop in a car and to put the dial on than it is to put a podcast on.
Right.
It just is. You're not thumbing through your radio. Maybe you have internet in your new car or whatever. You're not thumbing through the things and hitting this. No, you're hitting power and you're ready to go. And you get involved, right? So I don't think that ever goes away. However, what's changed the game, and here's what I will say is, remember back in the day, the Fanatic, WIP, they never got into podcasting or YouTube.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, guess what they have? YouTube channels, podcasting, right? They have it all. So they're saying, well, we better join this because eventually this is going to be number one and we're going to be number two.
Great.
Right. And I do think that is where it's going. However, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be successful doing it. Right. It's just not. So you got to stand the test of time. Which means you can't do 4 episodes and drop out. You can't do 2 years and drop out. You got to ride it. Like, you got to ride the wave, man, because what's going to happen is, and I tell people this all the time, you might have, say we start with 100. There's 100 people. Well, guess what? 2 months, that's down to 80. In 6 months, that's down to 30. In a year, that's down to 10.
Right.
So guess what? Just be one of those last 10 and then perfect your game. Because when the next 100 come in, you're going to be above those 100 because you got a year under your belt. So that's where the consistency comes in. So I don't think radio is ever going away, but podcasting is definitely it's always been there, Foods, but now with video and social media and clips, it's just growing even bigger.
Well, here's something else too I could throw out to you. Like I said, I know you've been doing fantasy football, fantasy sports. I've been doing fantasy football since 1994. Now, you remember back in the day, there were no Yahoo, there wasn't ESPN. Like, you were reading the newspaper, going by the, you had your own point system. You went by the stats, whether it was the local Enquirer, Daily News, USA Today. Now, I would probably say mid-2000s, everybody started getting in the act. ESPN, CBS Sportsline back then, Fox, and now look at it. I mean, the NFL. It's over $1 billion industry now.
Yep.
I mean, you don't even have to be in a league. You can just gamble on different players every game. Pick your lineup and just taking it from there.
I agree.
When you go back.
Yep.
But
I remember those days.
Before back then, fantasy football and all these networks was taboo. Oh, you're gambling. Now everybody's in on it.
Everybody.
Right.
Everybody. Yep. Everybody. And you know who you thank that to? And people can look this up. Thank Peyton Manning for that. Because it was the holy grail not to talk about fantasy football in an NFL locker room. Nobody, right? And one day, Peyton Manning stood at a press conference and be like, somebody asked him a question, was like, I don't know, but he did well on my fantasy football team today. And everybody laughed, and everybody's like, what? Right. And ever since then, it opened the door for that discussion, man. And it's crazy, man. It's all over.
And like I said, all these conglomerates, was taboo. Like nobody, it was forbidden to be talked about back then.
I agree, man. I agree.
So I got a couple questions before I let you go, and we'll just dive right into some some small Philly sports. I have to ask you.
All right, come on, bro. I got about 5 minutes. Let's go, brother.
Oh, that's all I need. I need less than that. I say the Phillies are World Series bound. I don't know why it's a gut feeling.
I definitely before the Trey Turner injury, I definitely agreed. I need to see more to make sure that this isn't going to be something that lingers. But I'm with you. I started to feel that magic. I started to feel everything starting to click. Right, a month ago, I wasn't there.
All right,
but
I agree.
Right after that Mets series, like I don't know if that woke them up, if something happened, but things just started to click. Big hits at big moments. Luck started to the pendulum swung our way a little bit, right? So I was looking, I was like, wow, this team's actually really deep. And shout out Harrison Bader, man. I was not, a Harrison Bader lover, man. I was like, this is just a normal guy, right? But there's something about energy. And he inserted a newfound energy into that team. And I think he's been a big part. And listen, the pitching stepping up, man. Who can lose a guy like Zach Wheeler and still continue, man? It's crazy.
Exactly.
Crazy.
I mean, you would think this team would be left for dead without Zach Wheeler.
I know.
And everybody's stepping up consistently.
Yep. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And my last question is, what's your record for the Birds?
Oh, man. I'm still gonna I'm gonna continue to go 13-4. Wow. I still think they're a 13-win team.
I was saying 11-6.
I still think they're a 13-win team.
11 or 12 wins at least.
And here's why. Even after watching week 1 against the Cowboys, all the adversity that they faced in that game, the second half to me showed that no matter what, even without Jalen Carter, even without a great quarterback number 2, that Vic Fangio can adjust on the fly and still have a Pro Bowl defense. And that's what they should. Nobody scored any points in that second half.
Right.
For the Cowboys.
I'll say this. Let's flip that side of the football and our MVP, Super Bowl MVP quarterback, put that team on his back with all these offensive weapons around him and went for dinner and pulled it out.
Yeah,
man, just put that team on his back and won that game.
You're right, man. You're right.
That's why he was the MVP of the Super Bowl. The man does not get no respect. He blows it off. The man has ice in his veins.
Yes.
The man does. The man.
No,
I don't want to put it out there, but I believe Jalen Hurts will be the greatest quarterback in Eagles history over the next. I'm going to say this: Jalen Hurts is going to win at least 3 or 4 Super Bowls.
Wow.
I said it a couple years ago. There's something about this man. He was Howie must have saw something. I mean, Wentz. The sky's the limit for Jalen Hurts. It still don't matter with all these weapons around him.
He's driven, bro.
He is. Driven.
He is.
We have Michael Jordan sitting in the stands.
He was doing this too. He was doing.
Can't really get much better than that.
Oh man, it was great. It was great, brother. It was great.
Well, Tony, I want to ask you where everybody can find you.
That's a funny question. Listen, if you go to @Tony Cutillo Show right there, if you go to the @Tony Cutillo Show YouTube page, listen, I have multiple accounts, multiple YouTube pages, multiple X accounts. I'm crazy, I'm nuts. But you will just go to @Tony Cutillo Show and you will find that's where everything lives. My fantasy work, my Philly sports work, my fighting for overtime work, everything. Even though they all have their separate entities, they all live there. So that's probably the easiest thing. At Foods, before we get out of here, I want to say one thing because I would be remiss if not, because we talked about Philly radio, and I know you're going to be doing things, and I know people like to reach out to people for guests. I want to give a quick acknowledgement to a few people within the Philly radio media circle that are awesome people, man, that don't get enough credit. Number one is always for me is going to be Rob Ellis. Rob Ellis is, in my opinion, one of the best dudes in the game. I had, when I got on Sirius, I wanted to open it up to people I felt deserved people on a national level.
Right.
Rob was one of those guys. Rob would come on my show, give me his time, still talk to Rob. He's very supportive. I'm supportive of him. He's just an overall unbiased, good dude, in my opinion. This one may surprise you. I'm going to give a shout out to Marcus Smith. Okay. Now, or Marcus Hayes. And the reason why I want to give a shout out to Marcus Hayes is because I tell people this. I'm going to find a video. But when I was this lowly Eagles writer for PhillyInfluencers.com, I reached out to Marcus Hayes. And not only did he oblige, but he took me to a virtual breakfast in one of his favorite spots and literally sat with me for 20 minutes and gave me all his Birds perspectives. So I know everybody hates him and he's a bad dude and he sucks. But guess what? At the end of the day, I respect the hell out of him because he did not have to do that. And that gave me and put me on a high. And a couple more other people. Devin Caney is the truth. I don't care. Like, I'm telling you right now, see, I'm so glad. I love watching her grow. Now
writer.
Right. Yep. I mean,
Eagles sideline reporter.
Yes,
I mean,
I could tell you plenty of stories, but all I can say is she is one of the real ones to me. Renee Washington is another real one.
I've interviewed her. Have the opportunity.
Amazing.
Al and I interviewed Miss Washington last year. I've reached out to her trying to get her on here.
She's on big time now.
Oh yeah,
on Office Sports, right?
Oh,
right.
Yeah. Well,
PHLY said she wasn't good enough, right?
Right.
PHLY said she wasn't good enough, but now look at her. She's on a national, right?
She's local. Went to LaSalle.
Yep.
Soccer.
Yep.
Very nice lady.
Yeah. So, and these are just people. I like to say this because I don't think people get enough credit for being really who they, because people don't see that side of them, and they don't have to. Another dude I love is Chris Franklin. Chris Franklin. I love it.
I know you had him on your show when you were up that. Can't think of the sports bar you were at last year.
I had Pike's Pub. I had him on.
Right.
I would bring him on Sirius, and here's what I love. Now he's on Sirius a lot.
Right.
Because I knew how good this dude's good. Like,
and he was with not to call you off. He was originally with
he was at
New Jersey.
NJ.com.
Originally where Elliott Shore Parks was.
Yeah,
where he went to IP.
He's not going to be one of the guys I give a shout out to.
No, I'm just but Rob Ellis, great guy. Was fortunate to interview him when I was on Broad Street South with Angel.
And that's the thing, Boots, in this business, I love watching people succeed. Good people. Right. Not people that aren't good people, okay? Good people, right? So I love the rise of Hunter Brody. Whether you like Hunter or not, I don't care. Guess what? I text Hunter, he responds. I needed Hunter on my show. He came on my show. I watched that dude at 97.3 work his ass off to where he's at right now, and I couldn't be happier, right? The dude's living a dream, and I think he put in the work, man. And the last one I'll say, another guy keep an eye on it. I keep looking at, man, is Nick Earnshaw. Nick starting to really get it, bro. He's starting to get it.
We were fortunate to have Nick on the Patterson Avenue Fanatics a couple months ago.
I love watching these young kids, bro. I love
it. Right on the with Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, 97.3.
Now he's got his own YouTube channel. He's interviewing people. He already had a great show. He still does the shift with Francisco. Like, these guys, like, I love watching these young guys grow, man. And they're not doing it. They're doing it the right way. They're not being controversial. They're not coming out with hot takes. They get clicks and get talk. You know what I mean? They're doing shit the right way. So I'm just happy for them. I really am.
Two guys I would say that are great. That they are household names that have been there anytime. I've asked them. I've had the honor to interview Ray Didinger. Very, very, very nice man. I'm actually going to see his play, Tommy and me, in October if anybody wants to see it.
Sweet.
Also, he has another play Another guy I want to give a shout out to is Mark Farzetta. Farzy is, fortunate to have interviewed him at least a dozen times. I mean, if you need him to jump on, he responds. And, like you said, it's all about the camaraderie to meet folks and, give credit where it's due to people that are the good.
Yeah, you have to, man. You have to. Oh, shout out Aton Sander too for Aton hooking me up and getting me started in the sports betting industry when it comes to Odd Shopper, and he's the guy. Like,
matter of fact, I think Aton. I was fortunate. I want to give another shout out to Gail Saunders of Fort John.
The man.
He texted me about 9:30 last Wednesday night and asked me if I wanted to come down to the Fox 29 Eagles pep rally.
Love it.
And shout out to Gail Saunders and the guys at Fort and John. Deeply appreciated once again.
And he doesn't need it, but because he's just big. But shout out to E-Rock, bro. E-Rock has answered anytime, no matter how big he is or how busy he is, bro. I'll be honest with you, go back 10 years. So I'll give that to him. He's real, man. They're real dudes, man. They're real guys.
Want to know coincidental? My season tickets are the same ones. E-Rock's in the same row as me.
Oh, no. Oh, get out of here. Really? Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Up in the 200 level. So.
Yeah, those 4th of July guys are awesome, bro.
Definitely.
Always been. OGs. They do it right, Foods.
Oh, they do. Right. Anyway, Tony, I want to deeply appreciate you coming on. Man. Thanks for, putting out your knowledge. And like I said, you've been, you got a nice, long, impressive resume for anybody out there that, anybody young, our age, like wants to do a podcast. Check Tony out. I appreciate you coming on Philly Flair. And I just have one more question. I'm going to keep. When are you getting Miss Nikki Dean on your show? Mother of Nicole Dean, who was on my.
Yeah, we were going back and forth today, so just trying to work out. Yeah, so I had texted her yesterday, and she got back, and then we were just kind of working it all out. So
nice.
Yeah. So and shout out to Fuji for making. I shot you out for that, for giving me that connection, which I appreciate.
No, thanks for putting that out last night. I appreciate it. Hey, one hand washes the other.
It's the way it works, brother. It's the way it works. No, all love, no hate, man. Let's go.
Exactly. Well, Tony, I want to thank you for coming on and spending a little more than the last 5 minutes.
That's all right, brother. It's all good. If I haven't been divorced yet, I won't be divorced anymore. So
there you go. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Fuji's Philly Flair. Hope everybody has a good week. Be safe. Reach out to somebody you haven't talked to, a family member or a loved one. Life's too short. Show some empathy. And, everybody have a good night, good week. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
And we will see you next week, 7 p.m., Cole County Entertainment and Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. For Tony and myself, have a good night, everybody, and God bless. Take care.
Say Fuji.
Take care.